A newspaper displayed a graphical representation to compare the percentage growth in reported crimes in two cities, A and B, over a period of 6 months. Well, there are two parts to this question, which we'll look at now, but it's basically testing your understanding of graphical information. So let's look at the first question. What is the difference in the percentage growth in reported crime between the two cities at the end of 6 months? So if we look here, we are looking at percentage growth, so just to make sure that equates with the other question. And we're looking for at the end of 6 months, so that represents 6 months. It says months there, so just checking it doesn't say years or anything else. So at the end of 6 months, there's a positive growth of 3% in crime for City A, whilst if we look at City B, there's been a fall in the growth of crime of 2%. So let's write this down. Is 3% minus 2%, which is equal to 5%. Can we say from the graph that there's more reported crime in City A than in City B? You must give an explanation for your answer. Well, from just looking at the graph, you may think that City B is a safer place to live in, whereas City A isn't. However, City A could be a much smaller city. For instance, St David's maybe in West Wales, and City B could be London. So if you think about it, if you're talking about an increase in crime, say if there was one reported incident in St David's, then an increase of 2% or 3% is next to nothing. Whereas if you're talking about 1,000 crimes in London and a drop of 2%, that would represent still 800 crimes in London. So no, the answer is that you can't tell. And the way you answer that is by saying from the graph you can't tell how many crimes were committed in each city at the beginning of the period And so crime in city B isn't necessarily actually be higher than A if there were significantly more crimes committed from the beginning. Now the second part of this question, or part B, shows another graph. It says a newspaper printed the diagram shown below with the headline, "Huge and steady increase in burglary over the last 10 years." And it says, give 2 reasons why the diagram and headline might be misleading. Well, if we look here, it says number of burglaries, but there's no scale. Is that starting at 0? Or is it starting at 30, for instance? And this is 32 here, which means there's 31 crimes committed there, and just 1 more here, so that's an increase of 1 crime over 10 years. The other thing is, it doesn't give any details for burglary committed in the interim periods, so we can't actually say whether there's a trend. In 2001, crime may be all the way up here, and it may have come down, or may have seesawed around. We don't know. You can't tell. So the first thing to say is there is no scale for number of burglaries it could start at a non-zero number also. The graph doesn't show the reason for years between 2000 and 2010, so not able to establish any trends.